With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
With LuckyLand Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased and honored to be able to say today we are in the presence of JKD royalty. Sifu Chris can tell us all about how to think like Bruce Lee. Chris, over to you.
Well, again, I've been wanting to do this book for decades, literally. And I've made notes about it and chapters and variations. And it was finally, my good friend John Little, when he was up here in Boise, that finally says, well, look, you've just got to do this. So I did. And it was originally just called Liberate Yourself, A Guide to Personal Freedom. And then I changed the title because I felt it was more apropos to what I wanted to get across to people, right? And so, again, this was taking all of the principles, the materials, the knowledge that I had learned in both training under Dan and then my own experiences, and how do you take JKD and as we say, see the bigger picture, because that was the thing, and that I felt it had so much more to offer than simply, a method of fighting, right? So again, I took all of that material and I turned it, and what I wanted to do was again share the core tenets of Bruce's philosophical perspective with people, the thought processes, the mental strategies that he used, the philosophical principles that served as the foundation that he used for all aspects of his life. And so the idea, again, how to think like Bruce Lee is, as I said, it's not about thinking the same thoughts as Bruce Lee, because that's an impossibility. It's got nothing to do with that. It's about you and yourself, but it is sharing these ideas with you. And here was a person who attained great things in his life, accomplished great things in his life, and has a huge following. And so the idea was to do that book, and then a workbook that went along with it, so that people could research their own experience and journal for themselves and answer themselves questions. Almost like if I was there and I was asking you these particular questions, but you're asking yourself those questions. So that was the thing for the book. And again, as John said to me, he goes, all of your other books, he said, they're great. He goes, they're about Jeet Kune Do, they're about the art and stuff. He goes, but this is your baby. He goes, this is your magnum opus, if you will, because this is you again, taking this material and sharing it with others. So that was the whole structure of the book, and just really quickly, it's a book that doesn't have to be read from start to finish. A person can pick it up. They can do that if they want, but they can open to any particular chapter if maybe they're dealing with a particular issue, or they just want an idea. So it's to serve as that. It's to serve as a catalyst for thought for them. Those were all of the purposes of how I designed the book.
So you've now evolved it into sort of like videos now. So what is the videos doing? Do you use the videos in conjunction with the book, or what do you do? What's your thoughts on how to apply the things?
Well, it's a combination. So I changed the title of the YouTube channel is obviously Chris Kent's, but it's just Think Like Bruce Lee, not How to Think Like Bruce Lee. It was a better title for it. And again, I'm taking material from that and from my other sources and turning it into a video format to have a casual conversation with people and share these ideas and give them different aspects, again, that they can look at for it. So some of the material, obviously, yes, a lot of it is coming from the book, but I wanted to cover all different aspects for people. It's the whole channel is about taking this material and an individual using it for their own personal growth. So there will be other things I'm including in there where I will be talking about Jeet Kune Do. It's not a Jeet Kune Do channel. It's not a here's a finger jab, here's a step and slide. It's got nothing to do with that. I will talk about martial art training. Some of them are going to be dealing with physical conditioning. Some of them are going to be dealing with mental training. All of those aspects so the totality of it. But so that again, an individual, maybe they want something about Jeet Kune Do, but again, I've walked down that path before. I've done all of these videos on here's a finger jab, here's a stop kick, and my God, if you go on any of the social media today, there's umpteen million of them, and and arguing back and forth about who's right and who's wrong, and it's to completely bypass all of that. So even again, a martial artist might look at this, and in one of the videos, I might be discussing, for example, purposeful movement, but I'm not going to be talking about here's a step and slide, here's a push shuffle. I'm going to be talking about what was the mindset, what was the attitude that Bruce had regarding purposeful movement, and how can you look at that and maybe utilize it for yourself. So again, that's the whole thing is to take the material, and as I said, I'll break down some of the fundamental core principles. Again, the be like water, be water. Okay, I'm going to do short videos, and then I'm going to do longer ones where I might extrapolate upon or put several of them together into a longer video. We all know now that it's all supposed to be about scrolling, and that people have the attention span of a gnat, and that you're supposed to do them 1 minute or less. I'm not really interested in that. I have really no desire. Some of them might be a minute, some of them might be 3 minutes, some of them might be 5 minutes. I'm not making them for what the term we use, the intellectually lazy. I'm making them for people who are seriously interested in their own personal growth. That's what they're for.
Yeah.
So
have you thought what your next step is? Are you going to do kind of a online discussion, maybe, so people can do a chat, one of those things, or is that not, would that be too much, do you feel? Would that be too many people throwing so much into the pot at one time?
Having seen what is out there thus far, right?
Yeah.
I have to be quite honest. It's why I don't join these chat groups.
Yeah.
Is I know that they're done with good intentions, but so as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? They so often turn into hen sessions and bitch sessions where, again, this person's right, this person's wrong, this person knows what they're doing, that person, who was certified by who? Who shook the hand of the man who shook Bruce Lee's hand? And that is so insignificant with regards to Jeet Kune Do. And you and I have known for each other for decades, and we've been good friends.
Yeah.
We have walked down that path decades ago.
Yeah.
People are talking about things that we looked at and tossed away decades ago. So it sort of just seems like this revolving door. There's a new group of people coming in, and they want to know what Bruce Lee ate, what he drank, and I don't have time for that. So I can't see doing a chat session. I created the Chris Kent Consultancy, right? And I have two views for it. One is working as a JKD consultant, and the other one is working as a consultant for my dynamic personal liberation.
Yeah, so let's just ask you that. Well, can you tell us a bit more about Chris Kent's consultancy? What does you mean by consultancy?
Well, again, it is a practice that deals with peak performance and development for these particular elements, right? And that's why I said working as a consultant. I can work as a consultant with regards to Jeet Kune Do, where I go in when I say go in, whether somebody comes to me, whether I go to them, and I work with them on whatever they need. It might be technical issues, it might be curriculum design, it might be, again, creating a JKD culture for what they're doing. But it's designed, like I said, it's designed so that I can work with people, deal with issues or performance things that they're dealing with, come up with solutions for them, and also to make sure that my ultimate goal is to transmit the DNA of JKD,
right,
to people. And the cool thing for me is I am not involved with any of the factions, any of the groups, this group, that group. I can go and work with other martial artists. I'm not limited to Jeet Kune Do, but it's based out of my understanding and my development and my years of research and training and development of Jeet Kune Do as I have done it, right? And then so I have that side of it. And then the dynamic personal liberation, again, with the book is a consultancy where, again, I work with individuals. It's designed for businesses, individuals, groups, dealing with personal growth, personal development, peak performance, and things like that. But I do it a different way. That I can do online coaching, and I do some of that. But a lot of it is going to be in person. They will either bring me out to them or they will come out to me. We will meet. It's a combination of dialogue and movement, where it's just a completely different approach to me. It's a completely different approach to personal growth and development, and even for want of a better term, life coaching and things like that. So
yeah, can I ask you sort of like a little personal question, and maybe two, in fact, is that I always felt, especially you, and I felt that Jeet Kune Do as per se, it's not just martial arts; it's everything. And once you get a blueprint and you get on what you're developing, you can put that to other uses. It's not just fighting systems; it's mindset. Is that right, or would you say I've got it on the wrong list there?
No, again, you're absolutely correct. To use that analogy that's been used before, Jeet Kune Do, yes, fighting is a very important part of it as a martial art, the physical component of it, if you will, right?
Yeah.
But to say that Jeet Kune Do is all about fighting is like holding up a single grain of sand and saying this is the beach, right? Or saying, taking one frame of a film and saying this is an entire movie. There's so much more to it. That's why I said Jeet Kune Do it's an art, it's a philosophy, it's a state of being.
Yeah.
It's a state of being. That's really what it is. And the big picture is life,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do we take that stuff out there? How does this make us a better, more effective, more productive, more creative person in everything else that we want to do? And you have to, if you even examine and look at Bruce's life and his evolution and his development, you will see that. And this is why I've said that you cannot stop and memorialize any particular era or location of Bruce's individual development. You have to look at the entire thing as it goes up until the time of his premature death, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've dealt with that for so many years. Oh, it's all about fighting. It's about fighting. So you're telling me that a 14-year-old boy that's being bullied, be it now cyberbullying or whatever, cannot you learn to become more confident, or anybody? What about this person who just lacks self-confidence, doesn't have faith in themselves? Are you telling me that Jeet Kune Do doesn't have anything to offer them? So, that's such a myopic viewpoint on it. And it was never supposed to be like that. Or again, when you follow that evolution and you track it and you see and you really pay attention to it, you get what it's all about.
Yeah, that's right. How do you feel as though you can attract people? Because I've seen you teach your students and the value they get for not just the fighting techniques, but you sat down and just discussing with them. How do you feel you're going to attract these people to open themselves to this new way of thinking using Jeet Kune Do?
Again, using all of the avenues that we're doing, from the YouTube channel and writing more material and giving talks about it. Again, about it as it relates. Because, again, I can go in and give a talk about Jeet Kune Do, the martial art, and then I can go in and give a talk about Jeet Kune Do, the philosophy, or, as it related to Bruce, or what it's really all about. So you put the material out there. It's kind of like that thing where the story about where the devil comes to Buddha because he's found the secret of whatever it is, secret of life or whatever, and the devil says to him, "That's great, but if you try and teach it, people are not going to get it." And Buddha says, "Some will understand."
Yeah.
And that's the thing with this. There are some people, their mind's already made up. The door's shut, the office is closed. They don't. One of the videos I've just done is they don't even have it's not that they even have an empty cup. It's they have a teacup, but they've got a saucer to put on top of it. So you can't put anything in it, and you can't get anything out of it. Yeah. So that's the nature. That's the nature of everything that we do. Yeah. Some people won't go towards it because perhaps it shows them in a less than favorable light, but it's sort of like maybe they don't want certain things to come out because of positioning or what. I don't know. I'm really not even gearing myself towards that. Here's here, I want the people who are interested. I want the people who sincerely want to grow, who sincerely want to learn what JKD is all about, what it was about, was about when Bruce was there, when I was coming up from Dan, because so much of it has been revised and changed, and for whatever reason, to suit somebody's agenda. I don't know. Again, that's not my choice to have to go into.
Talking something about public speaking, you've done a conference not so long back. Can you tell us a bit about that? That looked amazing, where you were invited to do a talk. Can you tell us about the talk and what was it daunting? How did you find it?
Yeah. Yes, I was invited to give a TEDx talk. So, if you follow them, TED Talks are international, right? TEDx talks are either country, so this was a US one. Now it's available for anybody, but it's just the size of it. And yeah, it was daunting because one, this is the theme of this TEDx group of talks. And there was like 14 speakers there, including myself, is life happens. So you have to come up with a topic that kind of fits into that. Then you have to write your script, and it can be no more than 12 minutes long at the most. Wow. Right? And then it has to get approved, so you're writing, and it's, this and this. And so my first draft came out to 24 minutes long. So second draft was like 18, third draft was 16. I think by the time I got to the 6th or 7th draft, I finally got it down to 12. Then you have to rehearse it, by yourself. We were incredibly fortunate. We had access to vocal coaches online to work with us. I had people that I could connect with and talk about different things. So, but it's daunting because we shot it at Youngstown University, and you go out and you have one day where you get to go in and you shoot a rehearsal where there's nobody in the audience. So you hear the sound and all of this stuff, and where the audience is going to be. So where you're going to be looking and who you're going to be speaking to at different times. Then the next day, bingo, you're on, And like I said, there's 14 of us, and they just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I was fortunate because I got to be the person. Was it right after I come back from lunch? I'm trying to remember now, because first they were talking about having me the end one, which means now you have to sit through 14 other people, and you're getting the nerves and the adrenal burger and things like that. So I did my talk on a whole new approach to learning, and I based it around the way that Jeet Kune Do offered me a whole new approach to learning and living. But again, they research your own experience, absorb what's useful, reject what's useless, add what's specifically your own. Yeah. And then how it related to me coming up as a kid growing up in England through the educational systems, and rote memorization, right? As we knew because that was the method back then, and then coming involved with Jeet Kune Do and Dan, and then finding out all of these other ways of doing things, and how it changed and gave me a whole new perspective on learning and living. And it was great. It was an incredible experience. Absolutely.
All right. Are they inviting you back?
Well, they don't do it that way.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because there's so many people they're going to. So they have themes. I might get invited back, or I might get invited to do another one somewhere else, because it's all over. Like my friend Harinder Singh did one, I think, just recently in San Luis Obispo. I hope that's what, I think it was. But so there's different locations where they do them here. And just like in Europe, they'll do them in different countries.
Yeah. Your big exciting thing that we've had on Facebook and stuff is the sort of like Jeet Kune Do Titans with you and Cass,
Yeah.
and you seem to have really enjoyed it. And we're going to touch base with Dwight anyway because we saw him fighting in a film called Island
Uh-huh.
with Ron Belicki doing the stunting. So we spoke to Ron about it, and he said, well, he was the right person for the right place at the right time. So that was great. So tell us a little about what was enjoyable, and you seem to have really enjoyed it about the Titans, and I think you signed up to another one already.
Yeah. Well, Cass and I originally did a couple back, and I think it might have been 2017 and 2018. And anyway, then the big COVID thing hit, and so nothing happened. And we actually did them at his school, and we did sort of, I think, like 4-day camps, right? Like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then again, COVID happened, and everybody was doing their own thing. And so Dwight, who's a good friend, and we've known this, another guy I've known for decades, and great guy, contacted myself and contacted Cass and said, what about doing one on the East Coast? Because you've done them out there, but what about people on the East Coast? So we're both like, oh, well, okay, yeah, set it up and we'll do it. So Dwight and Ron, they did all of the work to set this thing up. And Cass and I hadn't worked together in whatever, 7-8 years.
Yeah.
And so we went and we both shared different things. And again, for me, it was the thing of being able to transmit, again, that I use that term, to transmit the DNA of Jeet Kune Do to people who had never had the availability of it before and never been exposed to it before. And Cass and I have different takes on different things, but we both have the understanding of the philosophy, the foundations and what it's all about. So it was a great time. It was a really good time. It was extremely well received. Yeah, people loved it. And again, it's just one of those things where we didn't get into any discussions about any political ramifications. It was, baby, this is JKD. This is what it's about. You want to understand it. You want to get better at it. This is what it is.
Good.
And what we could do at the time, because obviously, we could do weeks and weeks and weeks of it. Yeah. So yes, we're already planning the next one for the same time, right around the same time next year. So and the good thing is, because it was kind of done so short, there was a lot of people from like England, and I had friends from England and Italy who they just didn't have the time to make the arrangements.
No, I think it's something that could grow. Not to say that we don't want you over here, because we've got plans. Anyway,
I know what it's over there.
We've got to get them Mars bars again that we leave in the fridge so that you can dip them in your tea.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. So
just going off sort of like piste for a minute. You worked, just so I'll give people a bigger picture of what Chris Kent has been through. Not only being a script writer and stuff like that people may forget, but you did quite a bit of stunts, didn't you, at one time? You know what I mean? I'd like to ask you, because the thing is that the big film out at the moment is Fall Guy, which I've just been to see, and they're trying to say that the stunt guys take an awful lot of punishment, and you were there. I remember seeing you with Jean LaBelle, and you've been with Jeff Imada a lot of the times, and you've done your own film down in Brazil. I remember when you're doing the fight choreography for the knife fighting. What was that like? And what was it like to hit James Bond?
It was fun. I can't say I did a lot. I mean, I did probably like 15 shows and the movies and things like that. And yeah, it was actually Jeff Imada that got me into the business. Doing somebody in fact Dwight just posted something about, do you know what TV show this was? And it was supposed to be a spin-off of Chips, and it was called 4-7 with Fred Dryer.
Yeah,
and
I've got it.
and Dan was doing some work in it, and Jeff called me and he goes, "Hey, I can use you here. We can not skate by, but the Screen Actors Guild have this thing. It's a catch-22 where you cannot work on a thing unless you've got a SAG card, but you can't get a SAG card to work on the show." So he got me in under something, Taft-Hartley Act or something like that. And I spent 5 days there and worked like a couple of hours. And but that was my entrance into it. And then I did several other shows because my student was the creator of Miami Vice, and actually then Private Eye, and then Hollywood Confidential. So I worked on a couple of those, and I met a lot of stunt guys and great guys, and they're very, very professional. I mean, we kind of joke around because sometimes they say, we get paid big money to play like kids, but they're ultra professional. I mean, the good ones are, right. I mean, they know what they're doing. They've trained in their craft. They're continually training in their craft. So it was fun doing it. Yeah, the knife movie I did in Brazil, that was the biggest one for me, because spending 2 months and training them how to fight with knives and choreographing the knife fights, and I got to write some of the dialogue because it needed to be changed. And so it's a fun thing to do. And I just all my stuff was fights, except for a couple of little things, but it's come on. I mean, you get paid this great money to create a fight.
I always find though that it must be lovely, because one of the cult movies now with I think it was Roddy Piper, They Live. You actually have got a credit at the end of it.
Yeah. I had a scene. I was actually the weatherman. There's a scene that takes place in a news channel, a news studio, and they blow the doors off and everything. I was actually the weatherman, and I had some lines of dialogue, whatever, about the weather, and raining over here, Bill, dry over here, back to you, Bill. But anyway, it got cut. So
Oh,
I still got paid, and I still get these little residual checks, right? $5, $7, and So again, that's another show that Jeff got me on, because he was a stunt coordinator on it. So again, I owe Jeff Amata is the guy who got me into the business, and I will always be for that.
The Crow is being made again, which is a little bit sad for me, and a bit sad for you, I think. So of course we should remember. But what's your best memory of Brandon, do you feel?
Well, first time I met him, he was 9, and he threw a tennis ball across the room at me, right? And so I saw him growing up, and I wasn't anywhere near as close to him as a lot of the guys around his age were, and things like that. But I went out to hang out when he was making Rapid Fire a couple of times on the set, and one time we had lunch together, on location. It was out at one of the houses. It's the scene where he goes in and he beats the guy up in the house, and powers got inside. Yeah, that was the day I was hanging out there. So went out and had lunch, and we were talking, and it was really interesting because he was talking about having his father's books, and that his books and reading his father's material had kind of altered his opinion on some of the arts that he was doing at the time. So we talked about that, but then he wanted to show me his new car, because he goes, "Hey, let's go back to my trailer and we'll hang out. I want to show you my new car." And he had got that Acura NSX, which looks like a little black Ferrari. His was black. I know Burt Richardson got one that was red later on, but So, and it was parked on the street, because I want to show you my car. So it was just nice, again, it was just casual. Here's my car. When we went out and hang out. hung out in his trailer for a bit, and Shannon at that time was working as a production assistant, aka gopher, right, as they call it, right? Go for my coffee, go for my, and she came in, and he sent her to pick up his dry cleaning, and he goes, I know she's my sister, but it's just great to do this kind of stuff. So, like I said, I saw him grow up. I saw him evolve into a wonderful human being, and then whose life, obviously, as we know, was tragically cut short. Because I went to a private screening of The Crow, and I sent you materials from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a thing. I'm not a lot for remakes, and I will give this remake the benefit of the doubt until I see it, because again, look, this is Hollywood. They just keep rebooting stuff now. How many times have we seen these movies? But I understand, because the powers that be are going, well, we've got this whole new generation of people, and they think this way. So we're going to, so obviously when you can see this has a complete different take on it, a different approach to it. Will I see it? I don't know. Like I said, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. But the one that Brandon did, I mean, God, when you watch it, it's not a happy. We know it's not a happy film to watch.
No.
But his acting and I think I think that film moved him to the position of he would have had his choice of roles and things like that, and which is exactly what he wanted. Because I remember he wrote it in interviews, but I remember him saying, he goes, look, my dad was a martial artist first and an actor second. I'm an actor first and a martial artist second. And you did some great interviews. Again, I remember, I still have them. I still have the magazine, and you met him and
The funny thing is that when you see John Wick, you just look at it and you go, you would have, Keanu, you would have never got that job in a million years if Brandon had been around. There was just no way. It's built for Brandon. Is John Wick? It's just as soon as you can just look at it and go, that's Brandon. You know what I mean?
Well, again, it's really funny in the fact that Chad Stahelski is the director of all those, and he's a phenomenal director, right? He's also the one who finished up The Crow for Brandon. They were good. They were friends. I've read a recent interview where Chad said that they weren't close friends. They worked out at the academy at things and like that, but they were friends. And so, would that have happened again? I don't know. Hollywood is a strange animal. It doesn't matter. You can have all of the talent in the world, but if you don't have the look that that group is looking for, then you're not going to get the job, right?
On Facebook you put a nice picture of you and Linda Lee Cadwell. Is that a recent picture, or is she still come to Boise? Or
she lives here, of course. That was like 2 weeks ago.
All right. I didn't know if she was still around or if she'd moved again. Or
no, she still lives here. I hadn't seen her in several months because I put that note on there that she broke her ankle. She and her husband Bruce were playing with their dog, and about hit her some way, and she stepped in a hole and broke her ankle, and ended up having to have surgery on it, and had one of those boots, and could not put weight on it for 4 months. So that just put the whole hamper on stuff like that. So we reconnect. She sent me a message and that, hey, let's get together again for coffee. It's been so long. So we have coffee maybe once a month if time, and we talk about what's going on in each of our lives and different stuff. And it's very interesting because you brought up about The Crow, because I said to her when we had coffee this last time, for some reason Brandon kept popping into my mind for several days, and they were happy whatever thoughts or whatever, but he just kept popping into my mind for some reason. And she's like, you know what, maybe he has a message for you. I don't know. It's very, so it's again, it's a great time to just share, and we talk about what each of us are doing, and I told her about the YouTube channel and things like that. So, and she's very supportive of what I'm doing. So yeah.
So just to wrap up on this first interview, so what's your direction in the next few months now? What's your aspirations and goals? Where are you going with it?
Well, stay ahead of the curve on making these videos. I know certain things, like you can't drop too many at one time, and one of the prime things is to have a consistency of experience, so that if you drop one every 5 days, then people know, for example, or one a week, then everyone knows on Tuesday that there's going to be a new video that drops, things like that. So working on that. I am working on another book, which again is not a technical how-to book, but it deals with Bruce and certain things regarding that, and Jeet Kune Do, and then again working on building up the consultancy, in both avenues, because it's both of these are designed for quality, and so it's working with serious people. We know that martial arts has a thing where people call you and they want to know all this different stuff, and they want you to help them out, and I understand that too, right? And, there's like a double standard. It's still a double standard today. It's sort of like, well, if you're charging a lot of money, then you're kind of going against the old philosophy that the teacher, and I'm going, everybody got paid. Back then they paid you in farm eggs or sheep or whatever the heck it was, opium, whatever, right? So they still got paid in some way. So and again, I'm a professional. I've been doing this for 5 decades now. I mean, how many thousands of hours of research and development. So those are like I said, to build that consultancy and again make it available out. So they're all kind of interconnected. The YouTube channel is to again build an audience, and there's a lot of people out there that can get a whole hell of a lot more out of it than just how to stick your finger in somebody's eye, So.
But I think a lot of the time, did you ever? I mean, I'd like your opinion. Why not? It's up to you. Sure. You might not want to answer this question, but do you remember James DeMille's books, the Wing Chun Do books?
Yeah.
They were one of the books, because when I was reading, I don't know, all the stuff that we've read, and you've read more than me, but there used to be, like you've done with your book, there was a page where you had to do your own writing. There was a blank page where you did your own writing.
Right.
That's what you've done in some of yours, I think, where there's a blank page and you can do your own notes from what you then, your own experiences.
Right.
And I do feel that people miss the opportunity to express themselves, and write what they've gleaned from it, instead of just being spoon-fed everything and that's all there is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, again, go online, go on the social media. You can find millions and millions of quotes. Half of them, Bruce Lee quotes. Half of them that are not Bruce Lee quotes. When somebody's actually attached Bruce's name to it. But that's great and that's fine, and understand those. But what does that mean to you?
Yeah.
That's the whole point. All of these principles, that's great, good, that's wonderful. But what does be willing to change with change? What does that mean to you? How is it going to benefit you? So we'll write down the little quotes, and we'll write down what Bruce had for breakfast, and we'll write down, Bruce's, these are the footwork that Bruce Lee used in whatever, I don't care, Seattle, Oakland, and Chinatown, and that doesn't, so what? That's all fine and well, right? but what does it mean to you? You know, do you understand the point behind it? You know, do you understand the underlying things that support it? Are you developing the educated eye and the discerning mind? Are you so busy looking at the finger, not the moon? And we talked about it before. Yeah, because it's a very attractive finger, you know, good. But are you still so busy? I mean, come on, how long has this been going on, right? Bruce passed away over 50 years ago, and people are still arguing over the position of your foot when you're in the Baijong position stance. I mean, the point is do you understand what it's for? Do you understand how to use it? Can you make it right? Can you adapt it? But it's almost like that thing that Bruce wrote about, you know, when the Olympic athletes and he's talking about classical form, and the guy takes off and the other guy goes, oh yeah, but did you see his heel was up? You know, and this is the same thing. It's sort of like, well, you know, the guy just punched and drilled him with a straight blast. Yeah, but his back foot wasn't in the right position when he was in the Baijong. It's like, what a waste of mental calories. You know,
it's does it work for you, and can you make it work for you in any aspect? Can you make the blueprint work for you? You know what I mean? And you know,
you redesign the blueprint if necessary, so that it fits you. Right. And and those are the things, right?
It's like all the technical world in the world, but if you don't understand the principles and want to adapt those principles to you, you forget it. It's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's a waste of time.
Yeah. You know, I go back to things that I learned when I began training in Jeet Kune Do, right? And that were some of the grounding principles for me. Like when people ask me, you know, about learning and stuff, I said, you know, when I started in Jeet Kune Do, the two things that helped my path were two statements by Bruce. The first one was, you know, we have 2 arms and 2 legs. How can we learn to use them with maximum efficiency and effectiveness? Bingo, right? Not how many punches do you have? How many kicks do you have? That one. The second one is how, in the process of learning how to use my body, can I come to understand myself? And that's a fundamental theme, right? Or that's the underlying thing. All the Zen things about it's a mirror that reflects yourself. Yeah, it's great. Good. You've done all of this. Good. You've sparred all of these rounds. What have you learned about yourself?
Yeah.
How much better do you know yourself? Right? Yeah. Those are, again, the fundamental things. So, and then as I'm always telling my students is that, you know, those fundamental themes like, well, what about this? What about that? Hey, if you understand it and you can use it, it belongs to nobody. It's yours. If you don't, it's still mine. You know? Those are, you know, I mean, you know, I still love teaching. I have my school here, and that's okay. It's a very small school, but you know, I go in, and when I was doing the seminar at the Titans with Cass, and I told them the same thing I tell my students all the time. I said, when I was training in Dan's backyard and at the Filipino Kali Academy, you know, in those early days, the 4 most dreaded words that you ever heard in those schools were maybe, sometimes, it depends. Because, you know, I would be doing something and I say to Dan, you know, Sifu Dan, you know, I always have to say that because otherwise I get people writing me saying, oh, you don't call him Sifu, you don't call him this. I call Dan at times. I call him Sifu Dan. You know, the respect is there, so get over it. But you know, I'd be doing something and I'd say, oh, hey Sifu, if the guy does this, then I should do this, right? And he'd just look at me and he'd go, maybe. You know? And then other times I go, so if the guy does this, should I do this? And he'd just go, depends. You know? And those were the lines you got. Not, well, that you do this, they do this, you do this, and here's 12 ways of doing it. It was just like, so I should go like this? Sometimes, Richard Bustelo, Richard Bustelo was the same. I loved Richard, loved him, because you'd do something and and you'd be waiting, thinking you were going to get this, in-depth philosophical or really erudite answer, and you'd say something and Richard would just go, maybe. So
great guys. Guys.
Completely different time. And you were there. We have good history together, and our meeting and stuff like that. So
yeah. All right, Chris. Well, we're going to wind this one up now. Unless there's something else you want to have a little talk about, but we'll leave it at this time. So maybe a month or so's time, we'll touch base again, see where you've gone, see what you're doing, and it'd be an absolute pleasure to talk. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's a pleasure to do this, and I want people to see the direction I'm going, because it is a very different direction than the majority of other people are going, and I have great friends around me, that I deal with and work with, Linda, John, all of these people, and other people. So again, I'll just finish with one thing, right? If I can.
Sure.
That is that years ago, in fact, on those first set of videos I made, is that there's a saying that some debts can never be repaid; they can only be acknowledged. So I feel like I have, an incredible debt to Dan for everything that how he helped me learn how to teach myself and how to grow and develop, and for Bruce for everything that he gave me through his philosophy, through the people I grew up with who were all of his students. So you can't repay that debt. You can only acknowledge it. Well, the way I can acknowledge it is for me to put forth everything that I've got with regards to Jeet Kune Do, and hopefully develop people that have that same mindset, that same attitude, and that same growth. So that's the only, like I said, that's the way I consider that I would repay both of them. So
all right, boss, you're taking your time. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
And
all the best, mate.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.